Apple, big company. They had the iPhone, they had the computers, they got the Apple TV. Yeah, Steve Jobs, he was an ambitious man. Steve Jobs had grand plans for the future of Apple. He wanted to build a car. Now this was ambitious. This was an ambitious plan for Steve because previously to this point, the company had not made cars. To be fair, in Detroit, where they were making all the cars, things were not going well. Obama was, he was bailing out. The cars were bad. They were breaking down constantly. Steve Jobs to take on the big three. But he also had some other competition. See, Tesla, they just launched the first Tesla Roadster. But it took Tesla like 16 years to start making money. And before that point, it needed a lot of government subsidies. It had pretty much no major competition. And there was a lot of money from investors to get to that point. Around 2014 or so, the Google car was one of the most hyped technologies out there. Cars that don't have gas pedals, that don't have brakes, that don't have steering wheels, that drive themselves, and they keep you safe. They're safer than humans because they're robots, and robots are always better than people. And the Google car, as strange as it seems, it threatened that. It was a threat to the iPhone. Like if somebody goes out and they buy a self-driving car, they buy a Google car, and they get in their Google car, and the car says, hey, we only work with Android. People have two options. They can either throw their iPhones away and buy an Android, or they can throw their car away. Throwing your iPhone away was gonna be a lot easier. 2014, Tim Apple decides we're gonna launch Project Titan, the Apple car. Problem is, getting ready for that is a problem. So imagine the challenge of not only trying to create a new car platform, but also make it an electric car platform, which isn't very common by this point. And also you're a company that has never, ever had any experience making cars. This was the position Apple was in, and it seems like an impossible challenge. But Google's over here doing it, so we gotta do it too. See, Google was spending billions developing this new Waymo brand that was entering production in Michigan. So the assumption was they were pretty serious about their car. And Apple, they got scared here. They just used their unlimited funds to hire talent from every major car manufacturer they could, and they just went on a poaching spree. Self-driving cars today use cameras and fancy AI to detect oncoming vehicles and people and dogs and children, and they decide whether they want to hit those things or avoid them. But these are imperfect solutions. Now, Google and Apple's cars had to find a way to fix this problem, and they did. It's called LiDAR. They allow a car to see in these poor weather conditions better than a simple camera could. But it's really expensive. It was estimated that the Google car LiDAR system was like $70K. You also have to deal with the law. How do you regulate self-driving cars? Apple's vehicle had already gotten in a wreck pretty quickly, although it was not the car's fault. Early in 2016, Google reported that its self-driving cars needed to be taken over by humans to avoid accidents 272 times. 13 of those times, the cars almost got in a wreck. And once, a Google self-driving car had hit a local bus. Having this many potential accidents started to sort of break the idea that self-driving was a guaranteed safer alternative than human driving. And so the hype of these cars started to turn a little bit more into fear. So Tim Apple gives the team an ultimatum. He says, fix this. Figure out a better direction for this project. Figure out how we make this work by 2017, or we're closing you down. So the team had to make a decision. One option was to scale the project down. It was clear that Apple did not have the resources to mass produce a car. In 2017, it was being reported that the Apple Car project was taking the first route. The original plan for a self-driving car with no steering wheel, no brakes, no gas pedal would instead be a more traditional car and partner with some existing auto manufacturer. But even this proved too much. Turns out if you just start poaching employees from every major car manufacturer, they might get pretty pissed, They might just not want to work with you anymore. But even if they did, would anybody care? I mean, look, Sony already did this with Honda, and nobody cared. Whatever this is, whatever this Apple car ends up being, it's not what Tim Apple originally envisioned all those years ago.